All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Here's another man that paid a price, written by Bill Banowski, called Try and Try Again in the Herald Examiner, April the 17th, 75. Of course, there's nothing new about it. You've read it in your history. But however, it's interesting to show that you must pay the price. And he says there are a number of qualities which contribute to personal success in life. Some, like being born with good parents, or in a favorable country or social class, or with natural physical and mental endowments, are completely out of our control. But the ones that really count are the ones that we can do something about. And among these, nothing is so important as the quality of persistence. You may pick at random from a library shelf the biography of any man or woman who has made a lasting contribution to humanity. Some were extremely brilliant, others showed uncommon persistence. Let's take the case of Albert Einstein. In grade school, he was such an unimpressive student that when his father asked the headmaster what profession young Albert should pursue, the headmaster replied, "It really doesn't matter because he will never make a success at anything." Einstein became one of the premier intellectuals of the 20th century and probably the greatest physicist of all time, more by reason of determined persistence than because of easy genius. Many similar cases can be cited. We're celebrating, he says, the 100th year of Winston Churchill. In school he was a very slow student. As a public servant his career was thought to be rather dull in the 1930s, and he had failed to achieve most of his dreams and goals. But by staying alert and alive, he was prepared when the rare opportunity for leadership came at age 66. At a time when most men are retired, he became in 1941 the British Prime Minister and rallied not only his own countrymen, but all the Western world. Because of his bulldog tenacity, he came to be regarded as the greatest political leader of the 20th century. He paid the price, didn't he? Public speaking too, tension, devotion, loyalty, yes, persistence, stick-to-itiveness, refusing to take no for an answer, always realizing that there was a power that responded. The story of America's greatest statesman is likewise not a story of easy success, but one of dogged persistence. He failed in business in 1831, was defeated for the state legislature in 1833. He was elected to the state legislature in 1834. His sweetheart died in 1835. He had a nervous breakdown in 1836. He was defeated for Speaker in 1838. He was defeated for Elector in 1840. He was defeated for Congress in 1843. Finally, he was elected for one term in Congress in 1846, only to be defeated again for Congress in 1848. He was defeated for the Senate in 1855, was defeated for Vice President in 1856, was defeated again for the Senate in 1858. Finally, in 1860, he was elected President of the United States. There were just a few rough spots in the life of Abraham Lincoln. Franklin Roosevelt, who was President of the United States longer than any other man, was severely crippled by polio and served all of those years of depression and war in a wheelchair. One of his great strengths was a powerful use of public speaking, especially at a time when the radio had given direct access to all the American population. These famous fireside chats sounded informal and off the cuff. But at Hyde Park, New York, is a glass case displaying 9 drafts of one of Roosevelt's famous speeches. The first was rough, the second improved, the third showed still greater improvement. In the 8th draft only one word had to be changed before the 9th and final draft was run. Trifle, said Michelangelo, makes perfection, but perfection itself is not trifle. You perhaps thought these fireside chats, I heard many of them, I'm sure you did too, You thought, oh well, he's talking off the cuff, you know. No, think of the hours, perhaps the days, the experts, and all these who gather together to give him all the data and the information, the specialists. And then the speech is put together, and he goes over it again and again and again. And that's perfection, isn't it? Perfection is not a trifle. And of course you know that his talks had a tremendous influence. Churchill was also a spellbinder who appeared to speak completely extemporaneously. But as one of his biographers correctly noted, Sir Winston Churchill spent most of his life working on his impromptu speeches. You've heard him, I heard him talk one time, and you think, you know, that he was talking, you know, off the cuff, as they call it, impromptu talk. No, for there were days, yes, and weeks behind it. He would pace the floor, we're told, and talk to himself, perhaps for hours, perfecting it. Press on, yes. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education alone will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Well, that's by Bill Banowski. Try and try again, his article in Herald Examiner, and remind you of some history, of course, which you know about, which you've read about in school, I'm sure. But it's good to be reminded that they paid the price. They had to pay the coin. Persistence, stick-to-itiveness, determination, attention. For attention is the key to life. And it's the key to success, isn't it? If thine eye be single, thy whole body is full of light. Eye is spiritual perception. It's spiritual awareness. And if you put this God presence first in your life and realize supreme and omnipotent, it's the only presence, power, cause, and substance, and you give all honor, allegiance, and devotion to that, and realize it's your guide, your counselor, your way-shower, your troubleshooter, adjuster, your father, and your paymaster, and the source of all blessings, and there is no other power. Think of the wonders that would happen in your life as you gave attention to that great truth. Yes, your attention to it, your devotion to it, your loyalty to it. But the minute you give power to sticks and stones and created things and men and women and the weather and the fan that gives you a stiff neck and all these other things, look at the many gods you have. One condition doesn't create another, one circumstance doesn't create another. That means you're not willing to pay the price. And the price is the one power, the one presence, the one cause, and the one substance, and there is none else. That's the great illumination. That's the final word. When you awaken to that, you are a real truth student. Then and only then are you a truth student. Now be honest with yourself and ask yourself this question. Do I really believe in my heart that there is only one presence as the living spirit within me? It's omnipotent, omnipresent, omni-action. It's all there is. It's the very ground I'm walking on. Do I then give any power to the phenomenalistic world or any created thing? Do I give power to stars, to the sun and the moon, the weather, men and women, sticks and stones, or karma, or past lives, or things of that nature, or voodoo, or evil entities, or devils? There isn't any such thing. There's no room for any devil. In all, over, all, through, all in all, I am, and there is none else. And from the rising of the sun to the setting of the same, there is none else. Are you willing to pay that price? You see, you must pay that price. And then you're illumined. Then you're free. Because from the rising of the sun to the setting of the same, there is none else. I am the Lord, that is my name, my glory you shall not give to another, neither shall you give my praise. I am the Lord, that is my name, yes. I am as being life awareness, there is none else. There's only the one presence, and the one power, the one cause, and the one substance. Be wonderful when you come to that conclusion, the definite conclusion. Then you would be like Troard. They said to him, you know, what would you do, Mr. Troard? He was a judge in the Punjab of India, wrote an inimitable textbook. And Harry Gaze, who used to speak for me once in a while, was a great friend of Trord. And Trord used to come and hear him lecture in London. And they said, "What would you do, Mr. Trord, if all the black magicians were praying against you and using the death prayer, cursing you in other words, pouring out imprecations?" You know what Trord said? He said, "I'd say cock-a-doodle-doo." Why? He knew where the power was. They had no power. Suggestion is a power if you accept it, but it's not the power. The power is the one power, moving as unity, no divisions or quarrels in it. How could spirit fight itself? How could one part of spirit fight another part of spirit in any part of the world? So that's the greatest of all truths, friends. And the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. Jealous in the sense you mustn't know another. Not jealous from a human standpoint, because the minute you give power to any other created thing, that moment your mind is divided. You're the double-minded man, unstable in all your ways. Let not such a man ask anything of God, for he is like the surge of the sea, tossed to and fro, a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. You're like the woman that I just told in this cassette, that was blaming the climate in Denver, blaming genes and chromosomes, heredity, and blaming it on the sun, and blaming it on everything, and the cause was within herself all the time. She learned to pay the price and got a healing. On May the 6th in the Inquirer, 75, it says, "The doctor healed of crippling disease. Medicine failed me," he said. This is a medical doctor. "Then I was cured by the miracle of prayer," by Lee Harrison. This is what he says. Dr. Phil Miles once was skeptical about supernatural healing, but no more. For when a bizarre disease attacked his body, gnarling and paralyzing his limbs, it was faith, not modern medicine, that cured him. It was a miracle, declared the El Paso, Texas physician. Joy shining in his eyes. "It's given me," he said, "new life. I am walking, living, laughing proof that there is a healing force, much more powerful than any man on this earth." For 7 years, Dr. Miles had suffered from the strange disease, which caused his arms and legs to jerk spasmodically and twist into rigid positions. Dr. Miles, formerly on the staff of the prestigious Walter Reed Medical Center, called in some of the finest neurologists in America, but they couldn't even diagnose his illness. Finally bedridden and growing worse every hour, the heart-sick young doctor turned in desperation to his only remaining hope, faith in God. He asked a Christian neighbor to come to his bedside, help him pray for his recovery. The doctor will never forget that incredible day. Every moment, every happening is etched into his memory. "I was sobbing uncontrollably as I uttered the words of that prayer," he recalled. "No sooner had the final words left my lips, when to my utter astonishment my hands, which had been clenched like claws for 2 days, suddenly began to open. A second later, the rigid muscles in my feet began to relax. I realized I was witnessing the power of the supernatural. Within 2 days, he said, he was back on his feet. And today, more than 2 years later, he is still healthy and working again as a specialist in obstetrics and gynecology at Willem Beaumont Army Medical Center in El Paso, Texas. Dr. Miles, 36 years of age, said the unknown disease struck him without warning in 1965. I was examined by some of the best neurologists in the country, but they couldn't positively diagnose my illness. He said, in my heart I knew I had a form of multiple sclerosis. Well, here's a man who paid the price. He tried everything, and then he surrendered to the God presence which made him, which created him, which knows all things. He prayed the fervent, effectual prayer of a righteous man availeth much. He called in a neighbor. They prayed together. A humble prayer, but a complete surrender, recognizing a great truth in his heart. And sobbing while he prayed, there's nothing wrong with that. It means humility. It means a complete surrender. Turning the whole thing over to that which is, which knows all and sees all. For the Bible says, it puts it this way, I am the Lord that healeth thee. I am the Lord thy God, I will come and heal thee. I will restore health unto thee, and heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord. Who healeth all thy diseases? Who satisfieth thy mouth with good things? Who restoreth thy youth like the eagle? Yes, are you going to say, it is hard for me? Is the Lord's hand shortened that he cannot save? So you realize that every man has to pay their price. And that price is attention, recognition, acceptance, and conviction. And you can pay the price too. All you have to do is call upon it, it answers you. It's impersonal, no respecter of persons. Let us dwell upon these great truths. But my God shall supply all your need according to his riches and glory. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. God who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. But with God all things are possible. Before they call, I will answer. While they're yet speaking, I will hear. According to your faith be it unto you. If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. He shall call upon me, I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? God in the midst of you is guiding you now.